Mr. Ashok Chauhan, the founder president of the Amity Group of institutions, my dear friend and a former Secretary Law, Mr. Arun Sharma, Mr. Satish Babu, Dr. Shukla, Dr. Sunil Khatri, Shri A.K. Kapoor, ladies and gentlemen, friends, it's indeed a great pleasure coming to this institution, and I must confess that this is my first visit to the Amity University, and I do wish that I had come here earlier and was possibly able to spend a little more time, because what the Honorable Admiral was able to show me in about 5 or 7 minutes, I must say that I'm very impressed that Dr. Chauhan, you and your colleagues have been able to create an institution which, both in terms of infrastructure and one keeps hearing about its academic excellence, is unparalleled in its both scale and magnitude. You were just describing to me the vision that you have about the future of the Amity Group of institutions, and I do think that the one thing that we singularly need is investment, especially in a public-private partnership mode in the education sector, because if we really need to ignite 1 billion minds, and we need to ensure that we take the fullest advantage of the demographic dividend, which is so unique to India. The fundamental prerequisite for that is investment, and a ramped up investment in education. And I am extremely humbled that you've chosen to come back from a very successful career and devote yourself to this venture. May God bless you and all your colleagues, and I do hope that you will not only succeed, but you will succeed with excellence in ensuring that this institution spreads its wings not only across India, but the remaining parts of the world also. This international conference on reliability, Infocom technologies and optimization is honestly, which is a subject which is above my pay grade, because my acquaintance with either technology or the optimization of technology is at best limited, and so therefore whatever I may have to offer by way of a few submissions on the subject, eventually I would be glad if it could be ranked as an E for effort, because that's exactly what I'm endeavoring to make. Two things have happened in India in the last 2 decades. One is that in the broadcasting space, we have grown from a single broadcaster to 852 broadcasters in 2012, give or take a few. In the telecom space, beginning 1994, we have witnessed a unique revolution which has taken place, which has not only increased teledensity exponentially in the urban and rural India, but has completely transformed the way we work, the way we interact, the way we entertain ourselves, and the way that we study. Coupled with that, in the last 5 years, you have this unique phenomena where social media or new media, as some of us like to call it, has become a reality which has reshaped communication paradigms completely. I tell my colleagues in government that India today does not have 852 broadcasters. India today has 7 crore broadcasters, because anybody who is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, various other social platforms is eventually a broadcaster with his own set of followers. And the beauty is that this convergence has become seamless. What starts off on the social media feeds into the broadcasting media and eventually lands up next morning as a newspaper on your doorstep in the form of print media. And simultaneously, there is a backward integration also. Coupled with that, what has happened is that the lines of technology between what is an instrument to make a telephone call and what is a radio to entertain yourself, and what eventually, a couple of months down the line, maybe your entertainment screen also, is completely blurring. So not only are the lines converging, but even the Chinese walls that we had created are coming down. Unfortunately, what has happened is that regulation has not kept pace with the march of technology in this sector. And therefore, you have very archaic regulation which tries to make a distinction between what is the telecom space, what is the information technology space, what is the entertainment space, and what eventually is the broadcasting space. But in reality, we've had a unique convergence which has taken place. And I think as we go along, government, because it has the fundamental responsibility of providing not only an enabling statutory architecture, but also ensuring the orderly development of this entire spectrum of seamless activity, which is become a part of our lives, to see that it updates the laws so that the growth of the sector can be as orderly, can be as possibly methodical as possible. Number 2 is the question of reliability. And before we came into this room, Dr. Khatri was giving me an example as to how, if there is even the slightest variation in terms of reliability, it can lead to catastrophic consequences. And so therefore, as we are increasingly going to become technology dependent, the factor of reliability would possibly become the most optimal lowest common denominator in terms of the consumer choices or the choices that we make. But there is a larger question, and I would like technologists and especially students who are going to take these paradigms forward to really think about it. I remember when in the early 90s I was a student much like you, and the first Iraq war was telecast on CNN. We said that technology had really blurred the boundaries, and so therefore West Indian boundaries in terms of their ability to contain and control the spread of information had possibly become blurred. And from 1990 to when you come to 2012, that distinction has really got erased. So therefore, in future, societies or even states as we know them in the Westphalian mode may become a thing of the past. And what this would do to the 6 billion humans who inhabit planet Earth in terms of their ability to be able to possibly live and work in a more harmonious manner is something which has exponential potential. So therefore, I think there has to be a marriage of the march of technology with the implications that it has on societal mores, on the social ethos, both in terms of transforming paradigms, but more importantly in terms of seeing as to how they can be leveraged to make our lives better. And as you go along, expanding yourself, or as you go along, devoting yourself to the subjects which would occupy your attention over the next 2 or 3 days, I think the larger fundamental objective which has to be kept in mind is that if we were to look back 20 years down the road and see the opportunity which we have, were we able to utilize that opportunity and really redesign both our governance and our administrative paradigms to be able to make India a better country to live in. And I think that is the fundamental challenge, because all technology, all wealth, all other instruments of comfort that technology is able to create have to be leveraged towards one end, and that one end is how do we make the quality of human existence better, and how in the Indian context we are able to really bridge the gap between Bharat and India, which unfortunately continues to exist till today. I am sorry I am a little short of time, but I would like to wish you all the best in your deliberations, and I do hope that you have a very fruitful conference and you are able to roadmap not only the future in your particular area of expertise or domain knowledge, but the implications that it has across the board. Thank you very much, Dr. Chauhan, Dr. Sharma, for having me.